All right, let's dive in. Today we are tackling a real powerhouse in object-oriented design, the command pattern. Now, what's it all about? It's about taking a request, an action you want to do, and turning it into its own neat, self-contained object. I know, it sounds a little abstract at first, but trust me, this is a total game changer for writing code that's flexible, clean, and a whole lot easier to manage.
But let's just get the big question out of the way right now, because I know you're thinking it. Why go through all this trouble? Why wrap a simple action in an object when you can just, call a method directly? It seems like overkill, right? Well, it's a totally fair question, and I promise you, by the end of this, you're going to have a really clear answer.
So, here's our game plan. We're going to start with a really common coding headache I call the messy button problem. Then we'll see how turning our request into an object is the elegant solution. After that, we'll meet the key players involved, uncover the pattern's incredible superpowers, and finally, we'll see why decoupling is the real magic ingredient here.
Okay, so let's set the stage. We're going to start with a problem that I guarantee you've either run into before or you will at some point. It's a classic.
So picture this. You're building a cool new text editor. You've got your main window, your toolbar, and of course, you need some buttons. You're a smart developer, so you start with a nice, simple, generic button class. Everything's looking good.
But then, to make each button actually do something, you start making subclasses. You make a copy button, then a cut button, then a paste button, a save button, and before you know it, you've got this absolute explosion of subclasses, one for every single little action in your app.
And here's where the real problem starts to creep in. The code for how the button looks, the graphical user interface part, is now completely tangled up with the code for what the button does, the actual business logic. This is what we call tight coupling, and believe me, it is a recipe for disaster. Your code becomes fragile and a real pain to maintain.
And then it gets worse. What happens when you want to trigger that same copy action from somewhere else? Say, from a right-click menu, or a keyboard shortcut like good old Control-C. Well, with this setup, you've got to copy and paste that same logic into your menu code and your shortcut handler. It is a maintenance nightmare, and there has to be a better way, right?
And of course there is. This brings us to the solution, which is just a brilliant, simple idea at its core. We need to stop thinking about an action as just a method call and start thinking about it as a thing, as an object. And that, right there, is the heart of the command pattern.
The legendary Gang of Four, the folks who literally wrote the book on this stuff, they put it perfectly. When you encapsulate a request as an object, you suddenly unlock all this amazing flexibility. You can pass these actions around like they're data, you can line them up in a queue, you can log them, and, this is the big one, you can support undoable operations.
Now, to really make this click, let's use a simple analogy. Think about going to a restaurant. You don't just walk into the kitchen and start yelling your order at the chef, right? I mean, that would be absolute chaos.
No, of course not. You talk to a waiter. You tell them everything you want, the steak, medium rare, extra fries, and the waiter writes all of that information down on a little paper slip. That slip now contains your entire request, all bundled up.
Then the waiter takes that slip and puts it on the line. They queue it up for the kitchen, the chef can just come along, grab the next slip, and they know exactly what to do. The chef doesn't know who you are, doesn't need to talk to the waiter. All they need is the information on that little slip of paper.
And here it is, the big connection. That paper order slip is the command object. It's a self-contained package that turns an action, a request, into a piece of data. It can be passed around, stored, and executed by someone else, somewhere else, at some other time.
Okay, so now that we have the analogy, let's get a little more formal and break this down. The command pattern really has 4 distinct roles, and they map perfectly to our restaurant example.
Okay, check this out. You, the customer, are the client. You're the one who creates the request, the command, which is our order slip. You give that order slip to the waiter, who is the invoker. Now, the invoker's job is just to trigger the command. They don't need to know how to cook a steak. The command object itself knows who to talk to, the chef, who is our receiver. The receiver is the one who actually does the work. See that beautiful separation? The waiter never talks to the chef directly.
So, why do we go through all this trouble to set up these roles? What's the big payoff? Well, this is where it gets really, really cool. Once you've wrapped up your requests in these command objects, you unlock some seriously powerful capabilities.
So, for one, you can queue up commands, just like the orders in the kitchen, and execute them whenever you're ready.
You can easily keep a history of every command that's been executed, which is great for logging. You can even build complex macros by stringing together a bunch of simple commands. You can send these command objects over a network to another computer. But of course, the most famous superpower of all is how it enables elegant undo and redo functionality.
So how does that undo magic actually work? It's honestly genius in its simplicity. Every time a command is executed, you just push that command object onto a history stack. When the user hits undo, all you do is pop the last command off the stack and call its special undo method. That's it. It is such an elegant solution for what is normally a really complex feature to build.
Now, all of these amazing superpowers, the queuing, the logging, the undo, they all spring from one single powerful core principle. And that principle is decoupling.
Let's just look at the before and after, side by side. Before, we had this tangled mess of GUI code and business logic. It was brittle, it was hard to change, and we had code duplicated all over the place. The button, our invoker, had to know everything about the thing it was calling. But after we introduced the command pattern, look at that. We have a beautiful separation of concerns. Our code is now flexible, we can add new commands without breaking anything. Our command objects are reusable everywhere. Buttons, menus, shortcuts, you name it. And the most important part, the invoker is completely decoupled. The button doesn't know what a copy is, it just knows it has a command object, and its job is to say execute.
So, we come all the way back to that first question. Why bother with all this? The answer is because when you turn a request into an object, you're not just adding a layer of abstraction, you're adding a layer of incredible power and flexibility. You are future-proofing your code. So the real question, the one I want to leave you with, is this. Take a look at your own projects. Where can you turn a request into an object?